So like you look at the view numbers, you can use that rough, so more people probably saw Rebel Moon than saw Barbie in the theater, right?
America is an amazing place, isn't it? A land of the free where your hopes and dreams are within your reach. A place where you can be the president even when you forget to take your Alzheimer's medication. A place where you can con guilty whites for tens of millions of dollars and buy a $6 million mansion in one of the whitest places in the country. A place where you can make crap movie after crap movie and still somehow continue getting paid to make crap movies. Zack Snyder is a fascinating character. I can't think of anyone else whose height of popularity came from not releasing a movie. Oh, that slow motion abomination. I can't believe that movie was almost 4 hours long and he thought it was a good idea to have 22 minutes of it in slow motion. And yet, despite not releasing a single movie that any semi-rational viewer could delude themselves into thinking was decent since 2009, he continues to be granted oversight of projects with 9-digit budgets. I don't get it. I mean, even the NFL eventually collectively realized Hugh Jackson shouldn't be the head coach of any team. So, how about his latest slow-motion monstrosity? Spoilers coming, because it sucks. Well, right off the bat, it's clear this movie is going to struggle. It begins with an exposition dump, just like part 1. Now, sometimes a quick exposition dump to start off a film is the most efficient way to get your audience up to speed on the state of a vast world they're being introduced to, or updating them on what has been going on since the last movie. But this movie is a part 2. It picks up literally exactly where the first movie left off, and the exposition dump it gives is just a quick plot summary of part 1. It's incredible, I've never seen anything like it. Rebel Moon Part 1 came out 4 months ago. 4 months! And Zack Snyder really thinks you need a refresher. I mean, geez, even Twilight had more faith in its audience. The film opens with Francis being brought back to life, because Zack Snyder still wants this to be a Star Wars movie, so death is optional. He couldn't let him be dead for 5 minutes. Now, the characters think they're in the clear, because the Imperium commander is dead. This Space Empire's protocol is apparently if you kill a high enough ranking officer, we'll leave you alone. That makes sense. Not sure how you maintain an iron grip over a galaxy with that kind of weakness, but shut up and look at all the colors that are shades of brown and orange and nothing else. But clearly, Francis is not dead, because the Imperium still plans to attack the planet they came here to conquer. I can't get over the fact they just think they're going to be left alone. But alright, we're doing Seven Samurai / The Magnificent Seven / A Bug's Life in space, so how are we going to prepare for what's sure to be an epic confrontation? How about by farming? That sound too exciting? Don't worry, a lot of it's going to be in slow motion. Yeah, this movie spends almost half of its 2-hour runtime just lazily chilling on whatever planet this was called. It doesn't deserve me going back to find out. They're just farming and training and eating dinner and lying in bed. But this story totally needed to be split into 2 parts. There was no way to tell this entire story in one movie. In my part 1 video, I likened Zack Snyder's inability to develop more than one element of his story at a time to watching a chef cook bacon, eggs, and French toast one at a time on a grill big enough to easily do all at once. But I think that was far too kind. It's more like watching someone limping down a sidewalk and putting a stick of gum in his mouth. But as soon as he starts chewing, he faceplants onto the concrete and just lays there chewing it until he spits it out and gets up and continues walking like a blind paraplegic whose seeing eye dog ran off. It's excruciating to watch. We're treated to a 5-minute flashback of Cora while she's in bed with Gunnar of her killing the princess, who she didn't actually kill. Who cares? It lasts 5 minutes. It took so long and I forgot there was supposedly a plot happening in the present day and was surprised when the movie returned to Cora in bed. And you think that's the end of the clunky expository flashbacks, but it's not. Not even close. Soon after, we get all of the characters whose names you don't need to bother to remember around a table, and they literally all go around in a circle and give their backstories, which all might as well end with, and that's why I don't like the Imperium. I don't know whether to compare it to the first day of school or to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. Eventually, finally, the final battle approaches, and Cora agrees to go with Francis to spare the lives of everyone else, and I felt like Elaine Bennis wanting anything for the movie to just end.
It's too long. Quit telling your stupid story about the stupid desert and just die already. Die!
The fighting starts, and it's hard to say how it really goes. I don't know where on the battlefield everything is happening, because for all the slow motion shots of this planet and its inhabitants harvesting wheat, it didn't actually build the world up at all, and I don't know where or what anything is. The fights are all very lackluster. Korra has some sword fights where at least it's clear what's going on, but the visual effects aren't good. Oh, and remember the robot Snyder introduced at the beginning of part 1 who was the only character I wanted to see? And then he just got sidelined for the entire movie? He's voiced by Anthony Hopkins, who is by far the best actor in the movie and has fewer lines than just about anyone besides Discount Sith Lady. Well, he shows up in the fight, and he's super powerful. That's all there really is to say about him. What a waste of an amazing talent like Anthony Hopkins. Gunnar and Korra have a romantic relationship, but they've got about as much chemistry as I had with a random stranger I tried to high-five on the street the other day who thought I was going to hit her and pepper-sprayed me. Then the movie ends with a teaser for a third movie. You know, I thought about not ripping into Zack Snyder too hard for like 1.4 seconds. I mean, everyone else does. I feel like I would just be piling on. But then he claimed that Rebel Moon was seen more and may have made more in theaters than Barbie, which is ludicrous. I will rebut Snyder's claim in approximately 20 seconds using his own words, but first here's E-Man, who I've never heard of until now, to help me out. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description.
I am right now playing Rebel Moon on my phone. Okay? Rebel Moon. Y'all see it? Rebel Moon. Okay? It is playing. I just turned it off. That's a view.
Now here's what Snyder said before this insane claim.
Almost 90 million views, right? 90 million people, 90 million starts. So, or 90 million accounts said, turned it on.
If history serves, only about half of the people who started this video have watched it up to this point. Is that percentage higher or lower for Rebel Moon? I don't know. But it's completely asinine to compare buying a ticket and going to watch all of Barbie to clicking on a movie on Netflix that you can, and many surely did, turn off after 10 minutes. He made me stick up for Barbie, so screw it. This clown wants to make 6 of these movies. His arrogance rivals even Rian Johnson's. He thinks he's making modern-day Star Wars. In fact, he wants to make 2 more installments that are both split up into 2 parts. He took over 4 hours to tell a story that Akira Kurosawa and John Stooges told in half the time. How do you tell a story for 4 hours and leave your audience unable to remember basically any of the characters' names? How do you write 2 movies and not give me any idea what the ruling enemy faction is? Dune sure didn't struggle with that. It's an insult to Lord of the Rings to bring it up here. Why are futuristic spaceships powered by coal? What are the stakes in all of this? I don't know, you don't know, and Zack Snyder definitely doesn't know. Snyder is a bad filmmaker. He can't write compelling characters. He can't build a world past listing off a set of facts about it. He can't contain a plot to be logical and concise. And no, I won't wait for his 3-hour R-rated director's cuts to try and justify the terrible PG-13 versions.
What we did inside those movies with tone and with gore and sex and all that stuff, within the same framework, you're getting 2 entirely different movies.
The film medium is one bound by time. You must make every scene, every line, every shot count. And when it's done well, it's a true joy to watch. If your story is so dense that it requires 2 films, fine, but his films aren't. He can't show, he must tell. I come back to that often in my videos, but it's the most basic rule of storytelling, and writers continuously mess it up these days. Zack Snyder is incapable of doing anything for a movie beyond putting an orange and brown filter over it, setting shots in slow motion, and coming up with edgy names and choirs. Oh, I can't believe I almost forgot. In Korra's flashback sequence, the soundtrack over it is all strings, and the music is provided by an actual string quartet in the scene. And all of the musicians have like these sacks over their heads. And when the king dies in, by the way, the most Julius Caesar mirror scene possible, and people start getting shot, the string quartet just keeps playing. It just keeps playing. It's the dumbest edgelord thing in either of these movies. More than the smoking red lightsabers. This ought to be it. This should be Zack Snyder's last film for a while, until he manages to write something that isn't ripping off better writers' works with his own boring, edgy, 14-year-old boy maturity level filter put over it.
All right, the sauce.
What?
The sauce. I don't know. You're using too much sauce. Okay? Review's over.